When finally I got to the registrars with whom I could register in South Africa, for example, I contacted at least 2 or 3 of them, and I was still running into a problem, which I think for most of them, if not all, is that they required a bank card with a bank in South Africa, located in South Africa. So for people outside South Africa, they cannot register online. So I wonder what's the process for those people wanting to register with the registrars based in South Africa to be able to have .Africa name. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, therefore, the question. We take some question before. I think Michuki, you wanted to ask a question? Yes.
Thank you. I have a question. Maybe this is directed to all the panelists. So the presenter from AF Proxy has shown that there is a clear challenge with uptake, with adoption, meaning that there is 5.1 million domain names associated with Africa, but usage is low. And I was just trying to do a comparison. Norway has a population of about less than 6 million. Their cctld.no has almost 800,000 domain names. So I'm not good in maths, so I'll not try to do the ratio, but you can really tell that the ratio is high. If you compare to Nigeria with over 100 million and 120,000 domain names, or South Africa for that matter with over 40 million and slightly over 1 million domain names. So my theory is that we do not have a market for domain names, meaning that we've not been able to develop the market for domain names for there to be an uptake of domain names at the national ccTLD level and also at the GTLD level. So that affects the number of registrars we have because there is no demand. The pricing that you've shown to become an ICANN accredited registrar is not huge if the market exists. But without a market, it doesn't justify the investment. So the question I have for the panelists is, what are we doing to develop the market so that we can have an increased demand for domain names?
Thank you, Michuki. Do we have in the front here, please, the mic to the front here, and then we go to the other side. Here, please. Okay, make it brief, and then go ahead.
Okay. My name is Jerry Malika. I'm from DNS in South Africa. From a service provider of platform, I totally agree with Joe. He said something yesterday about being asked the question of how many, if you have to register a ccTLD and a GTLD, you take both. A ccTLD like BJ and .com. I say not .com, .Africa. That's where we disagree. I see that we talk about price harmonization and policy harmonization. I don't hear us talking about system harmonization. It is important to, when we want to standardize an industry, we look at a number of things, including the systems that we use. And we believe that we need to have a standard system that will manage the domain names across the board. And one thing that I normally say is that registry operators, they need to ask themselves, what is their core business? What do you do? Are you an IT business or you sell domain names? Where I'm sitting is, they sell domain names. They are marketing people. They should go there and increase their channels, increase their domain users. Systems should be left for IT people to build system for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. I see we just have one hand there, so one or two. We take the two questions there and then our comment, and then we go back to the panel. Thank you. Please, you introduce yourself. We have some people following remotely, so it's good to introduce yourself before the question or comment. Thank you.
Ok, bonjour, moi m'appelle.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Dusan. I'm the technical director of GNSS company, internet service provider, and registry of the .bj. My question has to do with the guy who presented from Gransy. I'd like to know, on the basis of his experience, the average time that the process of registration lasts through EPP, through the EPP protocol. The average time that the registration process of a domain name. Then we know those who use GTLD, most of them, they carry out the registration online. They use the domain name to commit infringements, basically. So now we are in this area of cybercrime. We have measures to fight this plague. I'd like to know, based on his experience, are there people who have used a domain name who have used it to commit illegalities, I may say, and is there an issue with moving to automation registration process? Are there inconveniences? It's true that there are benefits, but are there risks associated with that? If you want to know his preventive offenses. Now.
Thank you very much, Mobo Cheng, for the record. I'll direct my brief question to Joe and maybe AF Proxy. I think I've had quite a bit of the discussion, and I feel the focus is really at the registrars and the resellers and maybe the registries. My question is, when are we going to also shift our focus to the consumer? But because at the end of the day, I believe we are looking for registrants. We want them to register. To what extent are these platforms responsive to the consumer? Do we have the consumer in mind? And I'm trying to avoid the word registrants, because I think we've been accused of being or of talking to ourselves. This language of registries, registrars, resellers, I think maybe people outside this room don't understand it, but they know what a consumer is, and maybe it is the same person we're referring to with a different tag. So to what extent is these platforms built with the consumer in mind? And to what extent are they speaking the language of that consumer?
Thank you. Last one. Okay.
Sure, that was a good point, Bob. Can I just please echo Bob's comments as well and say, how are we simplifying our processes in order to accommodate the consumer? Because right now we've heard of profound, simple methods for registrars, but what are the processes for registrants, the consumers? Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll give the mic first to the presenter on the FProxy to answer some direct question from Mawaki Shango, So he mentioned some issues of registration, the payment issue. So if you can answer that first.
I hope I managed to get your question properly, but from what I could understand, you said that you wanted to register a Africa domain name and you experienced issues because they wanted you to furnish a bank account. Is that right? Okay, so I'll repeat myself. I said I'm trying to understand the issue appropriately. So your question is you tried to register a .africa domain name. Oh, I have to wait. I can go ahead. Oh, okay. You wanted to register a .africa domain name and you encountered issues. Firstly, you didn't know where to go and you encountered issues because they said you needed to have a bank account. Is that correct?
Go ahead.
Yes, that's one of the issues. At the beginning, I had to go to several names on their websites before I was told I could actually register as registrants, because some of them, they don't do registration with registrants. Then when I got to the South African one, that was where the bank cards issue came up.
Okay.
So to make it simple, maybe I'm thinking the F proxy, what they presented is a solution to that problem. So my suggestion is that if it's okay, you just mention that, and then when we finish, we can go more about that. If my understanding is correct, with this new solution, they are not going to have this problem. He mentioned also the payment, how to pay, because they need to pay online. Yeah.
So can I just complement this? Be aware that there are only Senegalese registrars and South African registrars, at least a few months ago when I was trying this for the whole of Africa. So having that problem, I didn't have any other options offered to me to pay. So I couldn't register actually. So the question is, what are the alternate options for registrants outside South Africa?
Okay.
And that's the consumer aspect that Bob also was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer your question and take a couple of the questions that were actually answered. If I don't answer it properly, I'll just have a quick word with you after this. So for you to be able to, if you are a registrar, and you want to participate in the selling of .africa domain names, you have to be accredited by the registry that administers that domain name. In this instance, it will be Registry Africa. And there is an accreditation process that you need to go through. And the accreditation process is there to ensure that as a registry that administers the domain name, they know exactly who you are. You are a real person, and you have to furnish certain information and certain documents to prove that. That's probably why they wanted to verify that you have a bank account and all of that. If that's not the question, it's fine. We'll just take it offline after this. There were a couple of questions that were addressed to me. One from Bob, and I think Louis echoed the same sentiment as well around the fact that there are systems that are configured for the registrars and not necessarily for the registrant. And that is correct. Now the question is, what are we doing to develop the market, the end user? So there's a couple of school of thoughts around this issue, and I know that I'm constantly thrashing this out with my boss. So there's the RRR model, and I think it needs to be fully unpacked by the industry. The registry registrar, as well as the registrant. And it's almost as if the value chain, when it comes to the registries, almost ends at the registrar phase. And we don't see the whole process all the way through to the actual user of the program. So we worry about the systems and the efficiency of selling to ERA, business to business, right? But the domain name business on its own, it's different because you have a B2B, business to business model over and above that, you are selling a product that ultimately reaches the end user, business to customer. And I think the whole business to customer still needs to be relooked, re-clarified, and threshed out a whole lot more, because you have to be stimulating the demand and the use from the end user with the hope that that will then translate back all the way to the registry to increase registrations. So you cannot leave out the actual use of your program, of your product, and only focus on the distribution channel, which is the registrar. So that is just my take on the issue. I hope I've touched most of the questions that were addressed to me. If there's anything that I've missed, we can take it offline.
Okay, thank you. So we have some questions directed to about Gransy. So if you can answer this question, and there was also a general question what to do for the market update we cannot see yet.
I will start with the general question about the market. I will switch to one, let's say, very famous drink. Coca-Cola, where do you buy it? Do you buy it directly from Coca-Cola? No. Where do you buy it? In restaurants and in shops. In restaurants, it's, let's say, the price is high, but in shops, it's pretty much cheap. Is that right? Put this into the model of registrar, registrant. Shops for your users of domain names are registrars. If your country, your government are not building the market, you need to change this. As I said during my presentation, registrar, registrant is the market model. This what you have here is not a market model in some places. In some places you have this and it's okay. So how do you build a market? Like this, like Coca-Cola. Second, the direct question was for me about EPP, and if I've heard and understood well the question, it was how fast you can register through EPP domain name, very fast, in a matter of seconds. If you are paying through online, with online payment, it's a matter of, let's say, 30 seconds to register a domain name. Is there any abuse of domain names in the world? Of course, a lot of them. And we have a lot of certs. So computer emergency response teams. We have a lot of other techniques which, and also in ICANN accreditation, there is one big part about abuse, which you need to comply, which you need to implement into your system. So it's not that simple. Somebody can. So there are a lot of measures already taken about this. We can go into details, but it's too broad story.
Thank you. During the presentation from Sola, he mentioned some user considerations. I'll just give me 1-2 minutes to respond to some of the questions and the general one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Yaovi. I think I'll be addressing Bob and Louis. They were the one actually asking about consideration of the registrant. I actually mentioned that there are this platform that most of the registrars actually use. And this platform, they are actually tailored, they have actually considered the aspect of the registrant. And by the time you go into details, the clients actually have their own personalized page, and there's a client support there, the chatting system, which actually are meant for the registrant. And the thing actually we need to actually consider for when talking about more of these registrants is that they are the first impression it lasts longer. What do they actually see when they come to your platform? And how the aesthetic view, how actually they see this. Most of these customized billing and automation platform that we use, they give it to us, and we the registrar actually needs to do more work on it. And so it's there are all these content management system, or like WordPress, that you can equally use and develop and build a beautiful interface where is tailored to your clients, so the registrant, and which is actually attractive, and you can see, and easily there's a way you minimize the kind of way the registrant sign up. How friendly is it? You break it down to few steps, not a particular long form that will take forever for them to fill up. The user-friendly navigation and call to action. And there are some of all those resellers too. How easily are they able to actually integrate to the registrars? Because you have those of the resellers where they cannot actually, they don't have the financial muscle to come up to be a registrar. So those are kind of the things. Do you have a demo or a free trial platform for them to integrate to? This actually determines and are tailored towards the registrant, and which most of the registrars we have needs to work on. And once you work on this, the aspect of the registrant angle is actually taken care of. And to the general questions about what actually are we doing, most of the big registrars we have, they've actually, most of them actually controls the digital space we have. They have the financial muscle. Immediately you just quickly do a Google search on anything. They are the actually ones popping up. Most of the African registrars, at least we actually coming up in the sense that we are also trying to play our own part there, where the visibility matters. We are trying to show up immediately. You browse or check within your country. So there is the aspect of the government needs to play more roles. The registry too doesn't need to actually leave this whole aspect of visibilities of the registrars to the whole world. They doesn't have to leave it only to them. They too also need to come into here and do more work. Thank you.
Sola, thank you. So now let's hear from Joe on the various topic, question and comment here.
Thank you. I'm going to key in on two questions that came up that I think are, to me, the most important for people in this room. One of them was, what are we doing to grow infrastructure? And when I was talking about solving problems, there's a lot of different kinds of problems. There are personal problems, business problems, there are financial problems, there are infrastructure problems, which I think comes down to framing the issue in a way that shows the people who can help that it's good for them to do this. And that probably would start with regulators. And I know, every country is different. We've got 55 different countries here, right? And some of you, the regulators, really don't see the benefit. But that's where this room and the people in this room are so important. Some of you have had success, and some of you have really been able to grow infrastructure. You spoke about Norway and some of those Nordic countries, Sweden, who have very high internet penetration rates. And it's true. I mean, those people are very hyper connected when it comes to the internet, more than America, in fact. They have broadband services to much higher penetration rates. And but I think that if you can show the value, the economic value that comes from better connectivity. And you really have a couple of targets. One is regulators. In fact, one thing that I was impressed with about Benin, before I came here, I did a little reading up on Benin, and apparently the new leadership here, recent leadership, has this 20 points that they want to do to improve this country. And a couple of them had to do with infrastructure, and they talked about connectivity, getting more investors in. And, to me, that's, at least from what it looks like, and I don't know the reality of it because I'm not here all the time, but it looks like you have a leadership that is interested, or at least is expressing interest in building infrastructure, or at least encouraging infrastructure. But there's another component, and that's the investors. So are you looking for people and pitching to people as a group, and working together to get those people to invest in your country and to help to encourage the growth of infrastructure and connectivity. So, to me, that is a real key problem. It's a political problem, and it's also a problem of finding investors. But it's also, we know that every problem is an opportunity, isn't it? So to me, it represents both. And again, what are we doing? I really don't know. I know many people are doing a lot of things, and I could see the faces of people in this room that I know have had some success in that realm. And what we're doing is happening right here in this room, and the ideas and the things that we are talking about, and we just need to really do them. The second one that I think was really important was somebody asked, I think it was Bob, how are we thinking about consumers? And I have to share something that I had discussed with, I don't remember, I think it was Michugi, I don't know who it was, but we were talking the other night about the last mile. And was it you? Who was it? And he said, we don't call it the last mile, we call it the first mile. Because it's the mile that comes from the consumer to the business. And I love that, and I really think that that's a key way of thinking about consumers. I mean, we need to put them first. If we can solve problems for consumers and make it easy for them to participate in the solution, then we don't have to work as hard to get them to do it. Companies, the big companies, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Apples, they created solutions that made it very easy for consumers to use. And as a result, the rest of the work is a lot easier. The marketing happens a lot easier. The users flock to their products because they love the products, they talk about the products, and they encourage other people. So I think that that's a key component.
Thank you so much. I think because of time, we are not able to open another round for question and answers. And then what I want to mention is that the panelists, they are available, they are still here till tomorrow. And I want you to keep interacting with them. And we have some booth outside. We have a booth there for more information. And with your permission, I'm sure you still have an idea. I will ask you to give them a round of applause. And one to yourself, please. So thank you so much. I don't know if there are announcements from ourselves, but we have few here. And we have a tour to Ouida tomorrow in the afternoon at 2. So the bus is departing here at 2 tomorrow for Ouida. Ouida is not far from Cotonou. And if you want to go or you're interested, please, the hostess at the entrance, you go and give your name there. So you just go and give your name to show interest. So for people living on some of the hotel, recommended hotel, yesterday we shared the announcement. Please give your name there for if you may need transportation, so we can see how we can arrange that. So if you can do that just after going out, that can help. Also, we have gala dinner today, and we know that we'll have invitation card. So with your badge, you'll take the invitation card just after lunch. So for the gala dinner, it's today here in the hotel at 8 p.m., the gala dinner. And also on the 6th, on Friday, we have a special event, also international event, for the 20 years of the first internet governance meeting. That also happened not far from here. So for maybe people didn't plan on Friday, we have also an event here in this room. So those are the announcements we have so far. And if you didn't register today, please, the list is there outside. Put your name for today's session. Unless there are other announcements from ourselves. If not, lunch is just served in the room there, and we come back here in 1 hour time. It will be 2:15. We come back here. We have 3 sessions in the afternoon. The first one is about privacy, which is in plenary here, and then we have 2 parallel sessions. One will be on compliance issues with registry business, and then the second one will be on IDN and universal acceptance. So, bon appétit à tout le monde. On se voit ici à 14h15. Merci beaucoup.